Just want to do a quick sound check. Okay, let's go ahead and run through this real quick. Yeah, basically, I appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on the live stream. If you're on the live stream, if you're not, and you're getting this in a recording later, because I always post this to my YouTube channel after the fact, then that's fantastic, and I'm definitely glad that you decided to find my YouTube channel and take a look at it. So I'll be releasing daily content. This is one of the daily contents that I do release, is going to be my next day planning. I think it's probably the most important thing that you can do as a trader, is to have a plan and to know what you're going to do the following day. In fact, actually, I do a weekly planning session as well, though it's not recorded. If you guys are interested in that, let me know, and then maybe I'll go live on Sunday or something, and we'll have a chat about that as well. Realistically speaking, I just want to make sure that you understand. I am going to be doing, potentially live trading, but trading is risky. So make sure that you are understanding your circumstances, your knowledge, your financial resources, because you can lose all or more of your initial investment. Any opinions I give are my opinions. They should not be yours unless you have done the research and agree with those as well. But I am going to show you, kind of my thought process, what I'm going through, and what I intend to be doing. So, either way, that's that. So we can go ahead and move on to the good stuff. And first thing we're going to start with today is actually going to be the economic calendar. We had the durable goods number come out, which actually was a little bit better than expected, but generally speaking, I mean, it's 0%, so keep that in mind. Tomorrow's actually a pretty sporting day. We've got U.S. GDP, more German news, which is going to be the more market-moving news that you could expect out of the EU, seeing how Germany's probably the biggest economy whenever it comes down to being able to impact the actual currency itself. And you also have the business confidence for the euro as well. So that is a huge deal. These are going to be big numbers and big things that we're going to want to be paying attention to. If at all possible, we're going to be wanting a position in that could potentially take advantage of news windfalls and stuff like that. So we are going to look for opportunities and potential places to get in and then go from there. Consumer confidence is actually a pretty big deal for the Great British Pound, just because retail spending accounts for a large amount of their large amount of their economy. You take into the fact also that after Brexit, a lot of people stopped spending money. Seeing an increase in that number could be a nice indication of a rebound. Later in the day, we have the Japanese inflation rates and unemployment rate. So that is going to be important too, especially for the Japanese yen, because they released a brief message today about how the Japan is not out of a deflationary state yet, even though they did their adjustments recently. They came out today, basically, I believe it was today, might have been yesterday, that they basically said that they're still not out of the woods whenever it comes to being in a state of deflation. So I don't expect that to be very good. The consensus is -5. The previous was -4. So if the deflationary rate has gotten worse, that actually could be very market moving. So should be interesting to see. Anyway, so these are the things we're looking for: euro, Great British Pound, U.S. dollar, and then the Japanese yen later in the day are going to be the things that we're interested in hearing from. But the GDP and in the morning sessions, we're going to be really interested in more euro-oriented and U.S. dollar-oriented things, and then later in the day, we can get interested in maybe some Great British Pound or some Japanese yen. Of course, if at all possible, like I always say, if you can get into a position early, like I'm expecting the Japanese inflation rate to not be great, if I can get into that position early, then I definitely would. So moving on, we're going to start with the Australian dollar and the Japanese yen. This is a currency that overall I am actually a bear on pretty significantly, just because I have a neutral stance on the Australian dollar and I have a bullish stance on the Japanese yen. And the reason why I have that, even though I was just talking about how the negative inflation rates are not having a positive effect on their economy, is because almost every measure that the Japanese yen are attempting to take is to weaken the currency, yet they have been consistently unsuccessful. There's a report out there that basically shows the Japanese yen, the general market has zero faith in the Bank of Japan's ability to act and overcome the issues that are affecting it at the moment. That, combined with the fact that the most recent monetary policy meeting, though they said they released a brand new package for increasing the reversing inflation. Realistically speaking, they were just talking about changing up or monitoring or influencing yield curves, which in comparison to what they have been doing is basically nothing. So I believe that the currency is going to strengthen because there's really not much else that they can do at the moment to prevent the currency from strengthening. So I'll be interested to see that. That being said, the United States dollar, as we will see, or the United States Japanese yen, is nearing a major psych level of the 100 mark, which is going to be brutally defended. So we might actually see some sideways trending for a little while the market consolidates and truly decides if they want to take the yen lower than that. For now, I am going to be bearish on this one. So whenever I see this type of stuff, it makes me a little excited that it's coming back up into a potential area of resistance. This is actually, if it wasn't such a gigantic candle coming off of another psych level, I would have been a little bit more interested in taking this trade. But this is a huge candle with a huge amount of power, and I just don't see it being a smart decision at the moment to sell this, even though this is a monthly pivot point and a psych level. So as of right now, I'm not seeing any opportunities here. We've got the overarching trend line, everything putting pressure on it. I want to see a stall here, and then if I see a little bit of a commitment down, then I'll be interested in taking the short again. Actually, if you were here yesterday, I made a little bit of money on this particular trade. I went ahead and opened up a trade right about here, and I took it to here. I started to see it stall out, and wasn't really confident that I was going to be able to go further, even though my profit take was way the heck up here. I started to see some indications that it was going to slow down. If you don't know why. That's probably because of my moving averages and a few other components that gave me the indication that the momentum was going to slow down. Check my moving averages video that I posted. It will give a little bit of explanation, but basically this right here is my momentum indicator. These moving averages right here with my 5.8. It started to get up into this area, and then we had a pullback, and then we had these cross over and start to consolidate, and it made me lose confidence that it was going to continue up. I am still overall bullish on this particular currency, and I'm interested to see what happens when it interacts with 21 on the 1 hour. If we get a rejection off the 21 and it starts to curve with this, that could mean that we're going to get a continuation. But realistically speaking, based on what I've seen recently, I think we might get a pullback to here, and then it'll come back up. So I'll be interested to see, regardless, what it does. But if it comes back down to this area, I might be interested in another purchase. So Canadian Japanese yen, once again, this is another currency I'm deliciously excited about. There's a huge buying right here, and this is all based on the OPEC meeting, which to me is incredibly silly, because right now the OPEC meeting, they came to a output ceiling agreement, which basically means that they're not going to produce any more than a specific amount. They're going to try and decrease the amount of oil production in November, and effectively deal with the market in that manner and try and increase oil prices doing that. The problem is that, well, with me personally, I just flat out don't believe it, that they're going to actually do that. I think that there's a possibility they're talking about Saudi Arabia's natural decrease in oil production that happens in the winter anyway, and it's not really going to affect the overall prices, or they're not actually going to come to an agreement. I mean, there's just too many things that don't make sense, and the arithmetic and the math, it just doesn't add up to be logical whenever it comes down to that. So that, combined with the fact that the Canadian economy pretty much just come out and said things are not looking great, we expect to be lower for longer, and things are going to be a problem for a little while, and they just came out with a lot of doom and gloom recently, and I have to agree with them based on it. Now, if OPEC really does come out in November, and in the next coming month or so, we do see them nail out a true written agreement that everybody's on board with, that could be an indication of things actually improving for Canada, because they are really at the mercy of the price of oil whenever it comes to that. They're a true commodity currency. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're not going to come to agreement, or the math's just not going to add up. So I'm waiting, and what I'm excited about is I'm waiting for this to run into major resistance, and I'm going to sell the crap out of it again. As of right now, I'm definitely not going to be buying this, just because, I'm a hard inverse on both sides, so there's no real reason for me to do that. But right now, I would be very interested to see if this comes up, maybe into this area. Who knows, maybe the headlines will push it up that high. If so, delicious. I will take that tasty money. Interestingly, though, and I'm going to put this down right here, we've got a true psych of 77 even that it's running into right now. So, and also, if you pull this over here, the monthly pivot is right around in this area. It is arching above this, but if it starts to see true resistance and come back down, and then just not able to break into over this area, that might actually be worth selling. Though I think that would be sooner than I wanted to sell it. I would really be wanting it to go a little bit higher. If it doesn't manage to make it up high enough, though, on that information, then hey, why not? But right now, I don't see an actual direct opportunity, because I see no real commitment from the market back to stalling and then turning back to the downside. So, if you disagree with that position, that OPEC did come to an oil agreement and everything's going to be hunky-dory, that's perfectly fine. I actually really want to hear your opinion on that and your perspective. Either type it in the chat, or if you don't type it in the chat or anything like that, and you're watching this later, come back and type it in the comments. Tell me why you think that's the case. So I'd be very interested to hear. But for now, I have to remain bearish on the Canadian loonie, and I have to remain bullish on the Japanese yen, because the Japanese government has failed to be able to do anything in order to prevent the strengthening of the currency. And the Canadian dollar, the Canadian Central Bank just came out and said, yeah, this isn't working out well for us. Anyway, so this particular currency, overall, overarchingly, I guess you could say, I am neutral on the Australian dollar. I don't know if you can see it right here, but I have a little bit of alert. I would have been interested in taking this trade if it got back up to here, found resistance, and rejected. That's basically just because I am watching the Baltic Dry Index and a few other commodity price indications, and realistically speaking, I think that there is evidence that the more basic Australian commodities may be increasing in value, which could overall start to lead to an improvement. It doesn't seem like they're interested in hiking rates again, at least in these next few meetings, so it's definitely something to look at and be aware of. I would have taken it there just because it's now down to this particular psych level with this pivot point. So if it comes back up and it finds resistance in this area, maybe, but I would have much rather had it right here. So either way, this one, it still would have been a good trade to take it here. But the reason why I wouldn't have wanted that trade is just because it's right in the middle of two major psych levels. I mean, almost dead in the middle of two major psych levels whenever it comes down to that. And it's just not something that I would have wanted to see for me to be convinced, because I would feel like I could potentially be getting into a range. That being said, also as well, right here, if you zoom out, it actually bounced between these two psych levels before. So for me to sit there and say that it's going to reject immediately somewhere in the middle, that's silly. So I didn't want that trade unless it came up to the top. If I see another bounce up on the bottom of this, though, I'll be interested. Or I don't know why that just gunned all the way over there, but if I see it reject and then come back up and bounce into this area, that might be worth a trade. So I'm going to have to actually wait to put in an alert, though, because if I put it in, it's just going to start going off, and that's super annoying. Okay, still going to be bearish on the Canadian loonie, but right now, another thing to keep in mind is that I really don't see much going on for the euro. In fact, I really think that there's going to be some serious euro weakness. This is not a chart that I want to be trading on at the moment, though that's actually a pretty good area. With the OPEC meeting and with people being a little hysterical, I want to wait and see where that goes before anything else. So, not interested. Euro, Swiss franc. Swiss franc is a good risk-off currency. I mentioned it many times, and I'll probably continue to mention it. But they generally believe that their currency is still overvalued, and they have consistently said that they have every intention of intervening in their currency if they feel the need to do so. So I generally stay away from the Swiss franc, not because it's not a great trading opportunity, and I have used it before. I think actually, let me see if I can. Well, it doesn't show the trade, but I actually took a trade from here down to here for a quick little 30 pips, just because I was interested in the rejection that it had on this monthly pivot as well as this major psych level, and it was also a previous monthly pivot line as well. So I saw that and I was like, you know what, that's a very strong confluence. I'm going to go ahead and take it. But for the vast majority of the time, I wasn't really interested in the Swiss franc unless it's just a beautiful confluence of points. Great British Pound, I continue to be bearish on the Great British Pound. With everything coming out tomorrow, the news events and everything else, I don't know if this would be the best currency pair to trade. I expect the euro to have weakness, and I expect the Japanese yen to have strength. So I would rather be trying to find a position in this, the euro Japanese yen, in favor of the yen. So I'd want to be looking for a short position somewhere in here. This is actually not too bad of a position because that is a psych level right there that it seems to have found a little bit of resistance on. So this could be a nice opportunity for a trade. You can see as it crosses all the way around over here that there was a respect for this line and a little bit of a consolidation above that. So overall, I actually am interested in this particular trade right here because if I can get into it maybe tonight and then look to see if it'll go down further, that would be interesting. Also on the weekly targets as well, let's take a look. Yeah, the weekly pivot point is reasonably close. Actually, I don't like the fact that they're a little bit off whenever it comes down to that because the weekly pivot point and the monthly pivot points aren't lining up just perfect, or the psych level's not lining up quite perfect. But what we might see and what I think could happen is we could see a little bit of an accelerated pop-up wherever it'll tap here and then come down. And then right around whenever it comes back into this area below the psych level, I'll look for a resistance tap, and on that tap, take it back down. So if I can see that, wherever it pops up here, comes back down in, and then comes here, I'll be expecting to take that for a short for sure. So I'll be watching that trade late into the wee hours of the morning, looking for that one because that one could be very, very tasty. And based on the general economic outlook, I think that it's a relatively safe bet that we'll see some euro weakness whenever it comes down to it. If we don't see euro weakness, the plan is very simple. The reason why you want to get into the trade ahead of time is because I want to try and get into this trade early. I want to ride it out to have a little bit of a cushion. I want to move my stop to break even, and I want to see if the news goes in my favor. If the news goes in my favor, it might turn sharply. If the news doesn't go in my favor, oh well. You know, I'm not going to lose any money. I just didn't catch the wave. So moving on, Euro NZD. NZD pairs are actually rejecting quite well and look like they're, moving to the NZD weakness. And that's not that surprising considering the fact that the New Zealand bank has come out and basically hinted at rate decreases and rate cuts and that they need to have an effective change on their exchange rate. So I personally am not all that surprised. In fact, actually, man, look at that. Hold on. That's really good. Monthly pivot line, huge candle on the monthly pivot line. If this one closes up right here, that might be worth taking because that's not just a pivot line. That's the 54 psych level, which means that it's respected before. So that actually could be a very fantastic trade, and it's not a psych level that's just willy-nilly. It's something that has been respected before and everything. So if I see this come down and then I see maybe a little bit of commitment above this line here, I might buy that, even though I'm really not bullish at all on the euro. But it could be a way to orchestrate a bit of positional hedge. Let's say that the information comes out great for the euro tomorrow, which overall it won't matter because the general news is still going to be bad. But if, let's just say, the news comes out good, generally speaking, I expect this to go up if it closes and does what it's supposed to. So I expect this to give me a little bit of cushion here. So the news comes out bad, it'll take me out, no problem, but I'll have my stop at break even. And then if it comes out bad, I'm in the Euro-Japanese yen trade, and that will blow out and go down, and I'll make money no matter what. So this is basically showing me a potential to do kind of like a hedging position and take stuff in both ways. So I'm very interested in doing this, so we might see that in this actual stream. So quickly we're going to jump into the Great British Pound, and I am, by the way, watching that trade on my other screens that you can't see. So quickly we're going to jump into the GBP AUD. On this one, I'm bullish. I'm bearish on this currency pair overall, just because even though the Commitment of Traders report has decreased the amount of shorts by a significant amount, it still, to me, is it was over like 100,000 short, I guess you could say, from a hedging perspective, and the amount of shorts that were in the market was just enough for me to be still long-term short on the Great British Pound. With the information that's coming out tomorrow, it could potentially impact it and send it further. But me personally, I was expecting more of a retracement. I really wanted to see, as you can see, I have my psych level right here at 7 or 1.7, and it has been bouncing off of that. And I guess I could have been sitting there and selling this the whole time, but considering that this was kind of forming a head and shoulders here, which actually kind of got invalidated, but it's forming that pattern and everything, I decided not to be part of that, and I really wanted to see it come up and get a little bit of relaxation in, because the Great British Pound has done nothing but march for a while, and now it's starting to kind of curve, and a little bit of an increase would be healthy for the market. The market could benefit from having a relaxation in the downtrend. Overall, I think it will continue to go down, but until I see a pullback of a significant nature, I'm not going to, or a consolidation of a significant nature, I'm not going to be too interested in it. So what I mean by that is that there are two ways for the market to stabilize. It can retract, which, that's when you use Fibonacci retracements and stuff like that, or it can consolidate. And that's wherever you see things like flags and everything else. So if you see it run off and then you just see it range in between an area for a little while and then take back off, that's because it's gaining the stamina and the power necessary to continue to further lows or fresh highs. So if it doesn't have a retracement, then it's going to need a consolidation in order to continue down. So I will wait to see, and on that, if we see another bounce off this 1700, I might be interested in taking it just because, but for now, I'm ignoring that trade. So we're going to move on, and I'm not even going to look at Great British Pound Swiss franc because I don't want to. It makes me sick to my stomach. Got a rejection here, potential rejection line here. It just broke through the 2100 with the 21 line, which means we might get to see this either stabilize and then come into contact with the blue line. If it comes into contact with the blue line and then comes off a little bit, I might try and get a little position in to get this like 50-60 pips somewhere around in here. Just because if it touches the blue line, that's going to be an indication of a double bottom, and then we could see my retracement that I'm clearly looking for because I have my alerts there, and you actually can see that on pretty much all of my Great British Pound charts at the moment, except for the NZD Great British Pound. Well, actually, no, I have one right here. Bam. And that one actually did come up, but it didn't go up as high as I was expecting it to, and that's the reason why. Okay. And also, it didn't have any pivot points or anything else like that around this 1800, or this 1.8 line. So I have an alert above it because I wanted to see if it broke above it. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about that one right now. And also, these are two currencies that I am bearish on, so for me to take that would be a little silly. NZD Japanese yen, I am bearish on this currency, but at the exact same time, I express concern. This is probably, from a stable economic standpoint, one of the more obvious carry trades because the Japanese yen is negative interest rates and the New Zealand dollar has 2% interest rates. Though they're intending to cut interest rates, that doesn't mean that the Japanese yen, that people won't still start buying it up in a frenzy. So what I think will probably end up happening is this one will move slowly to the downside because it's a carry trade and it'll be interesting. But let me illustrate one fact. If it gets below here, this area, which is not all that far away from, I think we will see an amazing sell-off. And that's because any long carry trades that are in here that we're trying to take advantage of this move are going to be getting the hell out. If you don't know what a carry trade is, let me know so I can either explain it or not, but I'm assuming for right now that you do know. And then I can always create a video if you are watching this not in the live stream, then you can go back and watch it in the actual video itself, and then just type in the chat, say, hey, I want to know what a carry trade is, and I will go ahead and do that because I have no issue with that. That's fine with me. Anyway, though, moving on, if that happens, there could be a large amount of large investors exiting their carry trades, and that would send the market sailing down in a very glorious fashion. So we'll wait to see on that. If I get it up into this area, maybe, but for right now, I think there's better opportunities. Even though this is a currency that I'm bullish on and a bearish currency, I think there's better opportunities to be had. This one, not really interested in it at the moment. I actually jumped in a little bit here, and then I wrote it up for a little while, but I wasn't expecting it to go completely bonkers either. Once again, like I said before, I am neutral on the Australian dollar, and I'm semi-neutral on the United States dollar. It has demonstrated an interesting resilience to potentially negative information, and that has made me think that the market is starting to either mentally price for rate hikes, or that the market is just supporting overall underlying dollar strength. So I remain neutral on both of these currencies, but the United States dollar did do some interesting stuff during the FOMC meetings, and then even actually during the big non-farm payrolls that happened recently. Wasn't like there was some pretty big misses, and then it started to fail. So that was it started to fail in the opposite direction of what the news should have taken it, which really is an indication to me that things are people are still convinced that there's U.S. dollar strength on the horizon. So I am neutral on both of these. There's an interesting possibility of strength for the U.S. dollar. I am still going to take longs in favor against weak currencies if it's the euro, if it's the United States dollar, like the euro US dollar. I wouldn't be opposed to taking a short on that trade, which is what I just pulled up. As you can see, I have alerts here in kind of this euro no-fly zone. Wherever, if it gets that high, I'm just going to sell the crap out of it, and that's just all there is to it, because it hasn't been able to break really above into this area for so damn long that if it gets up there, it just should be a delicious, easy trade. So I am more expecting, even though it's kind of doing this tap off this monthly pivot line, I am expecting this rejection and then maybe to come up here. And then I'm probably going to have to be treading water a few times to try and get a catch a down move. What that basically means is that I'm probably going to have to take the trade. It's going to go off down a little bit, and then I'm either going to have to take profit when I see the momentum decrease and stop, or I'm going to just move my stop to break even and see if the market continues down. It'll really depend on the indicators I get and everything else. If I see, true indications of it slowing down and reversing, then I'll probably just close it, take a little bit of profit. But the idea is I'm going to tread water, and if it bounces, and then eventually it'll break down, and that is what I wanted to see, and that's where I'll make the majority of the money. And I think, let me see if I can't really see it right now. I don't remember the exact day it was, but there was reasonable news that would have sent the market, or should have sent the market higher, and it just exploded right back down. So it was one of those things to wherever you see something like that, pay attention. If you see the market run away from a spot almost immediately, then that tells me that it's a good opportunity for taking it to whatever currency that was in favor of. So I want to see a break, I want to see it come, and then I want to go. That's my goal. USD Loonie, this one's just bananas. The fact that it sold off, I was actually in this trade here today, and I took a little bit of profit from here to here, and then I jumped back in as it came down into this area, and I was trying to hold it to see if it would break into new fresh highs on the OPEC meeting. And the OPEC meeting came out with saying, oh, we reached an agreement, and then it came down really, really super fast. That being said, I still don't trust that agreement as far as I can throw it, and I don't know how big the agreement is or anything, but I'm not I'm not convinced that that's going to be a real thing. So I am once again taking this as a great opportunity to try and find another long entry. I want to see it come down. I want to see it find resistance, and once it does that, I want to try and take it up. Other than this monthly pivot area right here, which is actually pretty close to, so I'm going to put a blue box in. I'm going to blue box that area right there. And then, is there any majors? Yeah, there is. Okay. So this whole area right here is basically a rejection area, and you can see it ran off and then just ran away right back from it before. So that might be what I express interest in if I see it come down to here. Obviously, if it just keeps gunning straight down into it, I want to see a serious consolidation and a hook before I'm interested in taking it back up, because if it just sits there and consolidates, that could be an indication that it's going to continue down lower, and I might be able to get it at an even better price. So I want to see a hook. I want to see a commitment off that line, and if I get it, mazel tov. If I don't, okay, whatever. USD New Zealand dollar. I am interested in this, and you see my little red box right there. This kind of a head and shoulders here. We've got here. We've got another shoulder here. You see kind of a neckline increasing here. So what I am looking for is I'm looking for a break. I want to see it come back up. What I wholeheartedly expect to happen is it's going to break through the monthly pivot. Right here, I think it's going to tap on the psych level. I think it'll come back up, find resistance at the monthly pivot, and then I want to see it break the psych level, and that should cause a runoff. The protection strategy for this trade is very simple. I want it to, go down, pop back up. As soon as it comes back and it starts touching the psych level here, I'm going to put my trade to break even, and I'm just going to see if that catch the wave. USD pound. As with all Great British Pound, I'm looking for the consolidation or the retracement. Right now, nothing for it here, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. And then USD yen. I mentioned this earlier, I think, and I'm going to go ahead and mention it again. We've got this major psych level, which I have an alert on just so I know if it actually manages to break below 100, because that would be, amazing. But what I think is going to happen for a little while is I think we're going to see some consolidation while this overarching trend line catches up, and then I think we'll see it commit back down to the downside. So I think we'll probably see quite a few periods of consolidation as the market kicks back. If it does break up, I don't think it's going to break above the overarching trend line at all, so I'm not too concerned about that. I'll just take it as even greater opportunity to sell. Overall, though, that's my plan for the moment, with the inflation report and everything else like that coming out for the Japanese yen. I might look for that to be, maybe positive. Like if that information came out positive and it pushed it up towards this trend line, then I would look to potentially sell that news once it finds resistance. But right now, with the news that's coming out, I think the best opportunities are going to be euro-based in the morning, and then I think the best opportunities that are going to be Japan-based in the evening of tomorrow. So that's how I'm going to allocate my risk capital. So we will see, but I've got my Euro NZD. That's going to be probably the trade that I take long if this commits over the buy that you can see right here. If I see a little bit of a commitment off of this line, then I'd be interested to potentially take that. And then I've got my Euro Japanese yen, and I'm pretty much going to take those in opposite directions on purpose. And I'm going to try and get a cushion position on both of them, seeing how they both have overwhelming weakness for NZD and overwhelming strength usually for the Japanese yen. I'm going to try and get a cushion for the news. I'm going to see if I can ride the kicks down for delicious profit. Other than that, once again, foreign exchange trading is risky. It's not for everybody, so make sure that you're making your own decisions. I'm not a tipster or anything like that. I'm just trying to share my strategies. I want to see what you guys think about it. I want to see if you think my strategies are crackpot theories, or if you think they're brilliant, or if you think that they're just meh. tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're doing different. Tell me what's working for you. And I'll be very happy to hear it. Comment, listen, subscribe, anything like that to my channel, and I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have or anything like that. Just leave it below on any of the videos. Let me know what you like about my videos. Let me know what you don't like about my videos. Let me know what you want to see. Any early subscribers to my channel are going to have a unique opportunity to really shape the direction of the channel and decide what my content really becomes about in the long term, because I have a wealth of information whenever it comes to foreign exchange trading and trading in general, and I can happily do videos on just about anything. I just really want to know what's most important to you. Either way, I'm going to be doing these daily planning videos Monday through Friday, every day between around 4 Central Standard Time to 5 Central Standard Time. Sometimes I'll start a little bit earlier if it's been a slow day or anything else like that, but you can expect it to be right around that time every single time. I will release a Twitter announcement letting you know that that I'm going live and doing it. And we'll kind of go from there. If you like these videos and you want to see more of it, or if you want me to go into even more detail somehow, let me know what you want to see, and I'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to come here and watch my content. I really look forward to your feedback and knowing what you think of the channel, and I will see you in the next video.